Well, a very, very happy Friday morning, everyone, and welcome to the John Quintero Show. We got a lot to cover. We're going to get into the Padre roster today. We're going to talk about the starters, we're going to talk about the bullpen, and we're going to talk about the roster construction. And I can tell you right now, the Padres have some very interesting decisions to be made. Okay, a couple of orders of business. We're going to get into the NCAA, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that, but I am going to lead off with that here in a minute. But I want to, number one, thank you for tuning in. I want you to spread the word for me. I want you to subscribe to the channel. We're trying to build this thing. And, the only way we're going to build it is by word of mouth. And we got a lot of great viewers each and every day that we do it. We do it Monday and Friday at 10 o'clock. And with the Padres start, we may, get into it a little bit more. We're going to have to wait and see. But if you would, please subscribe to the channel. Please like it. Spread the word. You can follow me, of course, on YouTube, John Quintero, Southern California Sports Talk. You can follow me on Facebook at John Quintero, and you can follow me on X at Coach Quintero 44. And very much appreciate that. We're going to build this station into something special, folks. You know why? Because luckily, I've got a great baseball background, and I've got a lot of people that give me good information. And the last people I talked to about information are Padre people. We may have Josh Stein, the assistant general manager, on at some point. We'll track some other people down, but I like to get information from other organizations about the Padres because I'm going to get the real deal. The Padres, hey, the bottom line, they're building their brand. They want to be as positive as they possibly can. And I'm a realist. We're going to talk about what we need to talk about. When the team is playing well, we're going to sing their praises. When they're not playing well, we're going to talk about why they're not playing well. There's no excuses. I had a very interesting phone call with a player last night. And he's not signed, trying to get back into organized baseball. And I had a really hard talk with this young man last night. I go, hey, look, you may have to go to independent ball. You may have to go to independent ball. And if you really love the game, you're going to go to independent ball. You can't allow an organization to dictate your career. Because you got released doesn't mean you're not a good player. And there are a lot of guys out there. I see Josh Verdugo just going to get back in. He had no offers. He had no offers at all until a couple of days ago. And it's amazing to me. He's going to sign for $1.5 million. He's a pretty good player. I wouldn't mind seeing him in San Diego, to be honest with you. But there are a lot of good players out there that still don't have a job. And some of these guys may have to go to independent ball to get their at-bats. And then, when something goes wrong, somebody gets hurt, then they maybe get a phone call. But it's tough to get a phone call when you're sitting in a batting cage out in San Marcos. I can tell you that right now. But we get a lot of great information on baseball. I talk to a lot of people in baseball. A lot of people call me, want to know what I know. And we're going to give you the lowdown. We're not going to sit here and blow smoke up your tail. So just spread the word. People that have listened to me for years, they know what I'm all about. They know I'm going to be as honest as the day is long. All right, we're going to get into the Padres here in about 2 minutes. Aztecs, basketball. Never gave themselves a chance. They were down by 40 points at one point. They ended up getting beat by 27. I mean, they got run off the court the other night, 95-68. Everybody talked about how North Carolina shouldn't be in the tournament. They probably shouldn't have been, but neither should the Aztecs after that performance. Holy Toledo. I mean, R.J. Davis, second leading scorer in the history of North Carolina basketball, just torched the Aztecs. 28 minutes, 26 points. 6 of 6 on three-pointers the other night. Nick Boyd, only Aztec that did a whole lot. Well, Wayne McKinney did. He came off the bench and had 10 in his final game. Nick Boyd had 12, but only 4 of 14. I mentioned Miles Bird, and I'm a big fan of Miles Bird, but I said on Monday's podcast, Miles Bird's like the Dow Jones. I don't know if you play the stock market or not, but it goes up and down. That's the two things I can guarantee are going to go up and down. Well, that's kind of how his game is, up and down. Magoon Gwath played the other night, didn't do squat. They're saying that he's going to make a decision maybe later today whether he's going to come back to San Diego State, enter the portal, enter the NBA draft. Now, there's two parts of the NBA draft. He could enter the draft and go through the process and then by a such and such a date, he has to pull himself out. He's nowhere near ready to play in the NBA. He'll be playing in either the G League or Turkey next year if he comes out now. The guy has amazing ability, but he is so raw. He is so raw. And whether or not he comes back to San Diego State, I don't know. I mean, one of these big brand colleges, they're going to go after him. They're going to offer him the moon and work on trying to develop him. So I don't know what's going to happen. It'd be great if he could come back. You know, Bird's already said he's coming back. You're going to get Reese Waters back. You got the nucleus of this team coming back, and they're going to be better. They got overwhelmed the other night. And they got to play much better disciplined basketball, and they got to be more creative on the offensive end. I know they use up a lot of energy on defense, but man, you got to be able to score. The bottom line, you got to be able to put the ball in the hoop. And against quality opponents, they struggle with that. They really do. And they were awful the other night. I mean, the other night they shot 39.7%, 8 of 27 on threes. It didn't hit their free throws, 14 of 20. It didn't matter. They were getting their rear end kicked off the court. So that was disappointing. And then last night, UC San Diego, they came out and they looked tight. They looked really tight. But then they got it going. And, you know, I had a guy tweeting me at halftime and a couple of text messages. They go, hey, you know what? Things are not looking good, but they're a good second half team. And they came out and they performed the way they can play. I'm not going to sit here and bitch and moan about the officials, but I told you on Monday, if they called this game tight, it would be in favor of UC San Diego. If they let it be bully ball, it was going to favor Michigan. Well, they called it bully ball. And I thought the Tritons got some real I thought they got hosed on a few calls. I mean, Aniwa Tate Jones, Big West Player of the Year, fouls out. Fourth and fifth foul, probably fairly questionable. Chris Howell got beat up 2 different times. Even the announcers, Brendan Haywood and Brad Nessler, were saying, man, how can that not be a foul? When that 7-footer came right over the back of Chris Howell and crunched his neck and knocked him to the floor. But at the end of the day, they made themselves proud. They finished 30-5. They lose a heartbreaker, 68-65. Tyler McGuy almost hit that three-pointer to maybe send it to overtime. But nonetheless, hell of an effort by the Tritons. Hell of an effort, and they're going to be back next year. And then going back to Wednesday night, UC San Diego, the ladies, like the men, they got off to a bad start. They were down by 20 at halftime. But then they came back and played very well. They were down 40-20 at halftime. They came back, outscored Southern 36-28 in the second half, ended up getting beat by 12. But a great year for Heidi Vanderveer. They got a lot of good young players coming back, a lot of good sophomores on that team. They finished 20-16, a Big West tournament title, something to build on. Now, tomorrow night, 7:15 in Baton Rouge, the Lady Aztecs taking on number 3 seed LSU, the great head coach Kim Mulkey. I went on ESPN Analytics this morning. They're giving the Aztecs a 1.2% chance to win that ball game down in Baton Rouge. So there you have it. Okay, we're going to get into the Padres now. And I expect from you viewers out there today, start loading them up. Start loading them up. Jonathan's waiting for you. And we're going to load up these questions today. I'm not going to sit here for 45 minutes and talk. If I have to, I will. But I want participation today because we got a lot to cover with the Padres. Now, remember, the Padres open up on Thursday at 1:10 against the Atlanta Braves. That's a 4-game series. Then that Monday night and Tuesday and Wednesday, the Cleveland Guardians come to town. I mean, you got 2 good ball clubs coming in here that are very talented. Padres have got to be ready to roll. Okay, just real quickly. Where the Padres stand, and I know they got a split squad game this weekend. They're going to break things up in Peoria on Monday, but they're 10-16-1 right now. That's counting all the split squad games, the one tie they had. Today they play at 105. Opening day starter Michael King going to the post for the final time in spring. He's been okay, not great. I really don't like the way he's pitching personally. I mean, hopefully tonight, or today, he pitches a good ball game and really gets on track. Last night, Padres won 5-3. Nick Pivetta, I thought, looked fantastic. 5 innings last night, gave up 1 hit, walked a couple, 5 strikeouts, no runs. He had a good spring, 3.38. But, he's a guy that in his career has got a 4 career ERA. But, a fourth guy, now he's having to been bumped up to the number 3 spot for the time being with Yu Darvish being out. We're going to get into you here in a minute as well. But Pivetta looked great. Alec Jacob went out there, threw a shutout inning. He's got to be on this ball club. He's thrown 6 consecutive scoreless frames now. Ron Marinaccio, 1 inning, a couple of walks last night. He's been up and down. He got a 5 ERA. I don't think he makes the ball club right now. I think he ends up going to AAA. Jason Adam, 1 inning, a hit last night. He'd been okay. Adrian Morejon had been pitching really well. Had all kinds of problems in the 9th inning. Had to get him help. They had to bring Kevin Kopps in. Morejon, 2/3 of an inning last night, 4 hits, 3 runs, all earned. Spring ERA at 3.52. Prior to that, his ERA was nothing. Been pitching great. Now, I mentioned to somebody on the phone yesterday, I go, Jason Hayward doesn't make this team unless he gets hot the next couple of games. And Jason Hayward last night got the Padres rolling. He had a 3-run triple last night, and Elias Diaz an RBI single in the 2nd inning. So they won last night. They hung on against Texas 5-3. Okay, now we're gonna get into Yu Darvish a little bit. Yu Darvish is an incredible professional. He takes good care of himself. He watches what he eats. He is constantly training, and when he finishes one game, before the night's over, he's starting to try to regroup for his next start. This guy is a true pro. He's 38 years of age. He will turn 39, I believe it's in August. Father Time catches up with all of us, folks. I don't know where this is going to go, but this is very typical of the Padres, of how they made this announcement. And this is why I'm wondering where it's going to go for Yu Darvish. Mike Schilt comes out and initially goes, well, he's got arm fatigue. Does he have dead arm? No, it's arm fatigue. Then, all of a sudden, we find out now he's got right elbow inflammation. Well, I got news for you. That's not going away anytime soon. I always tell ball players, if you've got a little bit of a sore arm early in the year, you got to sit down. And that's what they're doing with Darvish. Because if you've got a sore arm at the beginning of the year and you don't treat it and take care of it the way you need to, you're going to either try to play with a sore arm all year or eventually it's going to take you out. And they've got great treatment, and hopefully it's just a little blip in the radar for Yu Darvish. The Padres have to have a healthy Yu Darvish. And the other thing, he's under contract and through 2028. We're talking 2025, 2026, 2027, 2028. 4 more years he's under contract. He's going to be 43 years old when he finishes, unless he retires ahead of time. And I don't think he's going to walk away from the money. He got plenty of money. He's a very giving man, I might add. Yu Darvish has done a lot in this city for a lot of people that people may not realize, but I know some of the story. I've never met Yu Darvish. He wouldn't know me from a can of paint. But I will tell you, he's a good guy. He's a really good guy and has done some really neat things in our community. But again, you got to be on the mound. We know last year he missed a lot of time. And last year he missed time for a good reason. It was a family situation that he had to take care of. And I applaud him for that. It's faith, family, and whatever else comes after that, folks. That's the way I look at it. As much as I'm into ball and sports, you got to take care of your family. And Yu Darvish did that last year. And I'm praying that he can come back and be Yu Darvish. He pitched well in the playoffs. He was pitching well in the spring, throwing the ball well, but got inflammation. It's kind of weird because he does such a good job of taking care of himself. I'm a little perplexed by that. But hey, things happen. Mike, what the heck is up with Darvish? Are they really downplaying how bad this injury is? Padres downplay a lot of things. I don't know. The days of Bruce Bochy and Buddy Black have come and gone here in San Diego. Everything's like top secret. Okay, I guess it's just the way of the world more than anything else. I mean, Mike Schill, you ever listen to him answer questions? And a lot of the questions are kind of softball questions that I never, when I would be in a press conference, I would never ask a question that I already knew the answer to because, you're trying to make the person you're asking the question look bad. But Mike Schill doesn't give you anything. I mean, he toes the company line. There's no doubt about that. And hopefully it's not anything worse. I don't want to hear 3 weeks from now, well, he's got elbow problem. We're going to give him an MRI and, he's going to end up needing Tommy John surgery, which he had back in 2015, if you recall. So let's just pray that Darvish gets healthy because the Padres need him. If the Padres are going to go anywhere this year, they got to have that guy in the rotation. Okay. Michael King, throwing today, going to start next Thursday, 1-0 or 110 against the Atlanta Braves. Braves will be ready to go, man. They got Chris Sale going. Now, I'm going to talk more about Chris Sale a little bit later on in the program. So right now, the way it looks with the Padre rotation, you're going to have King, you're going to have Cease, and you got Pivetta. Those are your three guys. And it sounds like Kyle Hart will get bumped up. Kyle Hart, who I've not seen a lot during the spring. What I saw wasn't bad. Wasn't bad at all. But again, I don't know if he's really built up. He got here, right when camp was kind of getting started. They kind of slow played him a little bit. He was throwing on the backfields. Then he got the flu. Then he threw those 2 innings in that game a couple of weeks ago where it got rained out. He threw 2 good innings. Then he had a start and, did pretty well for the first 3 innings and gave up a run and then ended up, coming out of the ball game in the 4th inning, giving up another run. But Kyle Hart's got a chance, I think. We'll see where it goes. I mean, it's a long season. And then you got right now, so you've got King, Cease, Pivetta, Hart. And then after that, to round out the rotation for the time, you either got Randy Vasquez or you got Stephen Kolek because Waldron's still down. Now, they're saying Waldron's going to throw a little bit next week from that left oblique. They said it wasn't nearly as bad as they thought. And so he's making progress, but he's not going to throw until sometime next week. And he's not going to be on the opening day roster. He may be in the dugout and walk out to the chalk line on the first base line, but he's not going to be on the active roster. So it really comes down to Randy Vasquez or Stephen Kolek. You tell me. You write in and tell me who you ought to think got to be the 5th starter right now. Okay? So that's the Padre rotation. And we're going to get into that a little bit more later, too. We're going to kind of jump around here a little bit. I do want to talk about the bullpen. I think the Padres are going to have a really good bullpen. The one guy that I am concerned about right now, and I don't know what it is, but it's Robert Suarez. Maybe when the bell rings, all of a sudden, bingo, the light will go on. He had not had a good spring. I don't know if the trade rumors got to him. He's not a rookie. I mean, the guy's 34 years old. But maybe it got to him. Maybe he'll settle in. I like Suarez. I'm a big fan of his. But he had not had a good spring. But then you take a look at the bullpen. And again, it comes down whether or not, or is Vasquez going to be the 5th starter or is it going to be Kolek? If Vasquez is the 5th starter, Kolek's in the bullpen for me. He's my long guy. I like Kolek. I liked him last year. And there were times last year he couldn't throw strikes and they'd get to him a little bit. And the worse it got, the harder he tried to throw. And all of a sudden, man, there was a lot of noise because he'd leave that ball up in the zone. But Kolek's got a chance to, I think, really help this ball club. So if he ends up being the long guy out of the bullpen, that's great. And then you got Alec Jacob, you got Jeremiah Estrada, and you got Jason Adam from the right side. Then you go to the bullpen. Padres got some really good options. I mean, Mike Schill is very fortunate. He got 3 left-handers in the bullpen. There's some teams that maybe have one. There's a point in time where years ago, I remember asking Bruce Bochy when he was there, I go, hey, you don't have a left-hander in the bullpen. He goes, it doesn't matter. Well, he said that because he didn't have a left-hander in the bullpen. He wanted a left-hander in the bullpen. And think about when he was with the Giants, the left-handers he came out of the bullpen, Jeremy Affeldt, Javi Lopez. They were part of those World Series championship teams. Padres got three left-handers. You got Wandy Peralta, you got Yuki Matsui, who I thought got better as the year went on last year. And if you looked at his numbers at the end of the year, they were pretty good. Not bad for a rookie coming over from Korea. And then you got Adrian Morahone, who's really, I think, found himself. I know last night he had a tough time in the uh, spring training game against Texas, but I got a lot of confidence in him. I don't know if he will ever be a starting pitcher. I mean, they gave him what they give him $11 million when he was 16 years old. I would have hoped it had been Randy Johnson for $11 million. But he's had injuries and just learning how to pitch. But he's found a role here in San Diego, and who knows? He may end up being a closer at some point in time. We'll see. He got good stuff. He's got good stuff, and he's still learning. So there you got. You got 13 pitchers. You got King, Cease, Pivetta, Hart, Vasquez, and then the bullpen of Kolick, Jacob, Estrada, Adam, Suarez, Peralta, Matsui, Morahone. 13 pitchers. I think Ron Marinaccio starts in AAA. And then I think Brian Hoeing, who's not going to be with the ball club, he's battling arm issues. Probably, have to go down there, throw a few innings when he comes back. And I have no idea when he's going to come back. We'll have to wait and see on that one, too. A lot of waiting and seeing with the Padres. Richard Flores, thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's very kind of the super. Be able to buy a good cup of coffee with that one, my friend. Thank you very much. And by the way, congratulations to your Dodgers. Dodgers went over there, and I got to share this with you real quick, and then I'll answer the question. Tuesday, for some reason, I couldn't sleep. I don't know if it was because Major League Baseball was starting. I had a long day. I had some personal things I had to take care of, and they were kind of weighing on my mind. But I got up and I watched for the first from 3:10 until about 4:30. I watched the Dodger Cub game. Dodgers, when I went to bed, were down 1-0. When I woke up, they'd won the ball game, and then they won the second game. So Dodgers right now 2-0. They got the Freeway Series this weekend. Ohtani did his thing. He got that home run. Tommy Edman had a pretty good series over there. Boy, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, holy Toledo. I don't know, man. That dude's tough. Man, he for a guy coming out of the gate the way he did the other night. I mean, he gave up one run in his time in the ball game. But man, that guy was throwing some serious stuff. I wanted to call a buddy of mine and say, "Are you watching this?" I mean, this guy was unbelievable. And Sasaki was all over the roadmap, but he's going to be all over the roadmap. A young guy learning how to pitch, but he got great stuff. Got great stuff. But yeah, I got up, and I'll tell you, I paid the price later in the day. I mean, I was beat. I went to bed, but when you get up your body's not made to get up at 3 a.m. But I couldn't sleep. My wife goes, "What are you doing?" And I go, "I can't sleep." And I go, "I'm going to watch the ball game." She goes, "You're nuts." But nonetheless, Richard, thank you very much. Is corporate sports radio dead? I get my sports through live streams like yours. Your old employer is everything I can't stand in today's media. I will tell you this, and I'm not going to criticize anybody that's on the air because it's not easy. But the days of guys like Lee Hamilton, Steve Hartman, I would say Ted Leitner, but Ted never really did a sports show. He did more of a politics show and local show. But the days of good, hard hitting, knowledgeable sports talk radio is probably done. And it's really unfortunate because I think the fans want to know what's going on locally. And you got to have people that know people and go out and they get the story. A lot of people want to sit behind a microphone and just pop off. Okay. And the problem that I have, Richard, more than anything else, and I have a problem with the media. I don't watch ESPN as much as I once did. When I first got into sports talk radio back in the late 80s and early 90s, especially when I got on the air, man, I watched that all the time. But I also, when I was on 690, I was on at night after Lee Hamilton. And I would listen to the morning show. I'd listen to the midday show. I was listening to our station all the time because there was good content. Now I don't see a lot of good content. And there's some good shows. And everybody's got to do their show the way they can do it. I can do a regular sports talk show. I'm not a bells and whistles guy. I'm a guy that gives you great content. I've been very fortunate in my life to have great experiences. And I'll give you an example. I'm on with Fletch and Sammy Long, two great young guys that love sports. And that's where it starts. You'd be surprised how many people in the sports industry, they're frauds because they don't really love sports. They do it, and as soon as they go in there and they start their show, they're waiting for the next commercial break and they're waiting for the sand in the hourglass to run out to where they can go out and do whatever they're going to do. They look at it as an easy paycheck. I never looked at it that way. Lee Hamilton never looked at it that way. Chet Forty, Hartman, Bill Werndell, none of those guys. They never looked at it that way. We lived and breathed sports. It's just a different dichotomy out there now. And corporate America has screwed everything up. I mean, it's not just sports radio. It's music radio. What we need. Here's what we need. We need somebody locally to buy a station and put the good sports guys back to work. And that's what you need more than anything else. And the other problem now, as big a pain in the ass as the Chargers could be when they were here, they never told us what to say. They never told us what to say. Padres never told me what to say. I'm not sure that's the case now. Everything's beautiful. Well, things aren't always beautiful. You got to be honest with the people. But no, I agree with you on a lot of that. But the other thing that I want to mention about, I never took personal shots at ball players. Now, I would talk about their performance, good performance, bad performance. But I'm amazed at how many people in the national media who don't know anything about people will take shots at them. I mean, that's just Bush. That's Bush. People don't realize how difficult playing sports is. And the other thing, they don't want to give the opponent any credit. You got to realize there's another human being in another team that's trying to do a good job. They practice, they work hard, they sacrifice. We just have a tendency to look at our team. But I like to give the other team credit. They've done a good job. They beat us. Hey, the ball bounced their way today. Didn't bounce our way. We'll come back tomorrow. We'll get them. But now, Sports Talk Radio, it's a different dichotomy. But what I was going to say about Fletch and Sammy, those guys love sports. They really love sports, and they're good guys. And they're growing in their listenership, and they're growing in their sports knowledge. I mean, I know Sammy really well. And I'm a big Sammy Long fan. And he continues to just continue to grow. And I mean, you talk about knowledge. I mean, not that San Diego really cares about an NBA team, but Sammy knows a lot about the Lakers. I mean, he does a great job covering the Lakers. Fletch and him are a very, really nice team, and I appreciate them putting me on their show. And I like going on their show because they're good guys and they work hard. Not everybody in Sports Talk Radio works hard. Some guys just walk in, and they may have a pencil or a pen. They may have a yellow tablet. But a lot of them just bring the newspaper in or look on the internet and start bullshitting. And I've never been that guy. But Richard, thank you very much again for the super. That's very, very much appreciated. I really appreciate that a great deal. Okay, we're going to get into the Padre roster. Oh, man, I can't wait to see what goes on here. Because I'm going to tell you right now, there are going to be some very, very difficult conversations coming up, in the next few days. They got a lot of tough decisions to make on players. And I don't know what direction they're going to go, but I'm going to start here. And I'm going to tell you who I've got. I got 11 guys right now. Remember, you got a roster of 26. You got 13 pitchers, so you have 13 position players. These are the guys I've got right now. And I'm going to tell you what I think and why I think it. And I want your questions to come in and you tell me if you agree or disagree with me on this. Okay, roster construction. We're going to start at the catcher spot. I've got Elias Diaz hitting 185 with no homers, 1 RBI, and a 399 OPS. I got him being the opening day starting catcher for the Padres. I got Luis Camposano making this team. Now, from what I hear, he may not make this team. That they may go with Martin Maldonado, who got released last year by the Chicago White Sox, hitting 119. Maldonado in camp, 19 at bats so far. He's at 053 with 1 RBI. Martin Maldonado's had a really nice major league. He's won a Gold Glove. He's a great catcher. 38 years old, folks. Are you going to send Luis Camposano back to the minor leagues again? If you do that, you might as well trade him and see what you can get and go find another veteran that can hit the ball better than Martin Maldonado. I mean, I can't imagine the Padres going with a 34-year-old catcher and a 38-year-old catcher. Are you kidding me? But I'm hearing, they love the way he calls the game. You know what? Get Camposano back there. Let him swing the bat. Least of all, he gives you a chance offensively. Martin Maldonado is basically an automatic out. He's a 203 career hitter. And I like Maldonado. That's the thing. I don't like to dog this guy because I'm a big catch and throw type guy. Especially having caught for 11 years when I was a kid growing up and working with pitchers. I'm a big catch and throw guy. But, man, you got to go a different direction. I got people telling me Maldonado's going to make this team over Camposano. They're not going to keep 3 catchers, especially 3 catchers that all hit right-handed. You're not going to do that. Okay, so my catching for me, and we'll see what the Padres, I'm going to keep this, or we're going to match it up. But I'm trying to put this ball club together the best I possibly can with what the Padres have right now. So I'm going with Elias Diaz and Luis Camposano. Now, at second base, and you're going to find this, you're not going to find it odd because I brought up the numbers a week ago, or a couple of weeks ago regarding Cronenworth. I got Cronenworth and Jose Iglesias. For me, Cronenworth's not in the opening day starting lineup. You're going to say, well, why isn't Cronenworth in the opening day starting lineup, even though he's hitting 313 and got an 827 OPS? Why? Because last year, his numbers were dreadful against left-handed pitching. Cronenworth last year, and let me jog your memory on this. Cronenworth hit 241 last year overall. Against left-handed pitching, he hit 203 and 153 at-bats, a 276 on-base percentage, a 531 OPS. He had 5 doubles, no triples, a homer, and 16 RBIs, and 153 at-bats against left-handers. And then you take a look at Jose Iglesias in 92 at-bats for the Mets. He hit 402 with 10 doubles, a homer, 6 RBIs, and had an OPS of 884. I know Mike Schultz likes to keep everybody happy and everything's beautiful. I want to win a ball game on opening day against Chris Sale, the guy that went 18-3 last year and won the Cy Young. It gives me a better opportunity with a right-hand hitting Jose Iglesias in the lineup than it does Jake Cronenworth. But I guarantee you they'll run Cronenworth out there, and maybe he'll flare one down the left field for a double inside the line, and it rattles around and a couple of runs score. Maybe. But I'm going to play the percentages. I'm playing Jose Iglesias at second base on opening day. That's the way I see it. The numbers don't lie. And that's not a small sample size, I might add. Okay? So I got Cronenworth and Iglesias. I'm going with Iglesias on opening day. You got Manny, who's had a miserable spring. Hit 148. He hit 1 homer. It was the first pitch we saw in spring training. He hit it out of the ballpark. He'd been awful. 503 OPS. He's Manny Machado. I'm not worried, but he's had an awful spring. Okay? Hopefully he has a good first game against Chris Sale, and hopefully he has a great April and doesn't, hit 180 for the first month. Padres need him to come out and be hot right from the start. They got to get him going. They got to get Tatis going. But Manny, third base. Bogart's having a good spring. 290, no homers, 5 RBIs, OPS 676. I don't know who the hell you play in left field. And opening day, I probably run Connor Joe out there. Right-hand hitter. Hitting 313, 4 RBIs, 932, got a few doubles. Came on, got off to a slow start. I got an opening for a left-hand hitting left fielder. And we're going to get to that in a minute. But then center field, we got Jackson Merrill, who's hitting 256 in the spring, 3 homers, 8 RBIs, 794 OPS. Fernando, a mediocre spring training, 238, a homer, an RBI, 814 OPS. And then the Padres yesterday purchased the contract to Gavin Sheets and they put him on the 40-man roster, having a marvelous, best spring of everybody. 313 and 48 at bats, 6 bombs, 12 RBIs, and OPS of 1,094. I mean, he had a hell of a spring. And hopefully, I don't expect him to do that in the regular season, but, hey, hopefully he could hit 270. Hit 265, 270. That's going to translate to some power numbers. Okay, so now I'm going to go back and I'm going to mention the 11 guys that I personally have on this roster. You got to start telling me who you want on this roster. Do you disagree with any of the 11 guys that I have on this roster? I got Diaz and Campusano as the catchers. I got Luis Arraez at first base, hitting 395, doing a great job. Cronenworth, Iglesias, Manny, Bogarts, Connor Joe, Jackson Merrill, Fernando, and Gavin Sheets. Those are my 11 guys. So if you got anybody out there, we'll start putting them on the board. I want to hear from you. Okay, now, the guys that are still in the running. You got Jason Hayward, who's hitting 143 so far with a 500 OPS. He has 6 RBIs. He got 3 of them last night on that 3-run triple. Jason Hayward signed, a 1-year deal, right around $1 million. He can, if he makes the team and does something dynamic, he can get a little more, up to, I think, another $1.5 million. So you got Jason Hayward, you got Terso Ornelas, who had 23 homers last year in AAA. And overall, I think he's had a very nice spring, hitting 283. You got Brandon Lockridge, who to me is the ultimate 26 player on a lot of teams. He's a guy that's going to come in, play defense, occasionally maybe get an at-bat in a blowout, or maybe in a bat against a left-handed pitcher, being a right-handed hitter, hitting 368. He's had a really good spring. And not only that, he can steal base. Got 6 stolen bases. Lockridge has kind of grown on me a little bit. Not that I think he makes this team, because I don't think he does. I think he starts in AAA. But he's better than I thought he was when I saw him last year. And he's slowly making me be a believer. Will he ever be an everyday guy? Absolutely not. Is he a 4th or 5th outfielder? Yeah, probably at some point in time on the right roster. On this roster is too deep for me. So you got Oscar Gonzalez having a marvelous spring. 380, no homers, but he's got 7 doubles and 3 RBIs and an OPS of 935. Oscar Gonzalez, right-hand hitter. And that's probably why he won't make the roster, because he's a right-hand hitter. Left-hand hitter, he probably makes the roster. But you got Connor Joe to be your guy out there in left field with whoever's going to be the left-hand hitter. And then you got Iggy Rosario, who, I'll be honest with you, I thought early in spring training, going into spring training, I liked him, and I'm not giving up on him. But he hasn't had a good spring, hitting 208, and really hadn't done a whole lot. I mean, he's run into a couple of ball, got a couple of homers, 7 RBIs, but, he's more of an infielder than he's an outfielder. They're trying to play him in left field, but you got too many other guys. I think he ends up in El Paso. Now, we're going to get it down to 3 guys that are interesting. Yuli Gurriel, 40 years of age. I know there's a lot of talk. Padres love him. There's an article in the paper. They love him, and, he's 40 years old, and he's done this, and he's done that. He's been a great player. I don't see him making this team. I really don't. I mean, you can't bring everybody on this roster. I don't see him making the team. And then you got Tyler Wade. Good guy. Did a nice job for the Padres in his role last year. I don't know if there's a spot for Tyler Wade on this ball club. I mean, hitting 162, no homers, 3 RBIs, can run a little bit. He can play second, short, third. He can play the outfield. He's a good guy to have. No question. But you only got 2 roster spots. And one of those guys has to be one of your starting left fielders. So what are you doing? I'm asking you right now, what are you doing with this roster? I gave you 11. Whether you agree with my 11 or not, I don't know. But from what I've seen, man, it's tough. I mean, I just wonder, are they going to give Ornelas a chance? Or are they going to go with Jason Hayward just because he's Jason Hayward? And we can talk about all the leaderships, how many leaders they have to have in the clubhouse. And Jason Hayward's a great guy. By all accord, he's an unbelievable guy. And maybe he can become a coach someday. I don't know. Do you want to roll the dice? I mean, you could keep Hayward, send Ornelas down, and if Hayward doesn't pan out the first month, you release him and you bring Ornelas up. Well, how do you want to handle that, folks? I'm going to ask you that right now. How do you want to handle that? And, maybe Tyler Wade makes this team is the multi-utility guy. But, I mean, there's a lot to look at there. Okay, and again, we can go back and take a look at that Padre rotation a little bit. Padre rotation, pretty much what it is. Pretty much what it is. I mean, Darvish is going to be out for a while. Waldron is going to be out for a while. They can't lose anybody else. They can't lose anybody else. They can't. You take a look at their first 7 games. Well, actually, the first 10 games. They got 4 against Atlanta. They got 3 against the Cleveland Guardians. And then they got 3 against the Chicago Cubs at Wrigley Field. I mean, that's a pretty tough start. Then I think on their way back, they stopped by Sacramento to take on the A's. And the A's aren't a layup. They're not a layup by any stretch of the imagination. So, anyways, let's get to Coach's Mailbag here. Now, I want to hear what you have to say. Threw out a lot of good stuff there for you, folks. Garrett Boyer, 458. I don't know what the catching answer is, but I know Salas is a terrible idea. He's way too young, unproven, and that would only screw up his development. Garrett, bingo. I agree with you. I've been saying that since day one. I was pretty irritated 2 years ago. When the kid started in rookie ball, they moved him to Elsinore, and he was doing pretty good. And then they moved him to Fort Wayne for, I don't know, a week or two. And then they moved him to Double-A, and they said, well, we wanted to move him to Double-A because we wanted him to grow with that young pitching staff. Most of those guys are gone now. Most of those guys are no longer with the organization. One of them, Robbie Snell, he wasn't in a trade last year. Dylan Lesko wasn't in Double-A at that time, but, he was another guy they were counting on. He's gone from the organization. So, no, I agree with you. Best case for me here, and I mentioned this the other day, I'm a big Ethan Salas guy. Again, catch and throw guy, quick feet behind the plate. I love that. His pop time is fantastic, and pop time is from the time it hits his glove until it hits the second baseman or shortstop's glove down there. I mean, he got good pop time. It's under 2, and got good quick feet, good anticipation skills. He ain't going to hit. But he hit 206 last year in high A ball. And I know everybody got all excited about Arizona Fall League. He hit 4 home runs. Oh, my God. Put him in the Hall of Fame. This kid's going to be good. But you got to temper your enthusiasm. And you got to go out there and work hard every day. Personally, I would start him out in high A ball again. And let him get his feet on the ground offensively. And then I would move him up to Double-A the second half of the year. And I mean, if for some reason he comes out and just goes off in high A ball and you move him up a little bit earlier, maybe in September, you could bring him up at the earliest. But I think next year, maybe if he has a good solid year this year, then you bring him to camp again next year. He'll always come to camp because he's a very well thought of a prospect in all of baseball. But if he gets here at 20, I'm fine with that. I mean, he may get here a year from now when he's still 19, but I think a better target would be 20. And if he's not here by the time he's 21, then you got to start wondering, where's his game at? And is he developing offensively? Because I do think this kid's going to hit. I really do. They just got to give him a little time. But Yeah, you can't bring him up. And you got to, I'd rather go slow, let him go down there in high A and dominate. Let him build up some confidence and then move him up to double A. And when he gets to double A, he'll probably struggle for a couple of weeks. But that's normal. That's the way it normally works with players. When they go from one level to the next, there's an adjustment period. So let's just be patient with this guy. A Visser, 53-45. We need Fernando to have a consistently good, healthy year for once, and Manny not take 2 months to find his swing. Very well said. And, I've been saying for years now that Fernando, if we could see, I'm not going to ask for 155, let alone 162, but if we could see Fernando just play 150, I'll take 145 games. Think about the numbers this guy could put up. I mean, it might be off the chart. He may lead the National League in home runs again, like he did a few years back where he hit 42. The sky's the limit if he can stay in the lineup. We don't need any more stress reaction injuries. He's had 2 now in his career. One in his back his rookie year that got shut down. And then last year in that hip or thigh area where he had that reaction. I don't know what that's all about. But hopefully that doesn't come back. But I couldn't agree with you more. Manny needs to come out and play. I don't know what Manny does during the offseason, but some players are just, slow starters. And the other thing that I would say, about Manny, and I was looking this up as I was getting prepared for the show today, it's not like Manny's played a whole lot in the spring. He got 27 at-bats. I know talking to big league ball players over the years, they normally like to get somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 to 50 at-bats. Now, maybe the next few days, Manny will be in the lineup and get a few more, and they'll say, well, he took him on the backfield. It's not like going against major league pitching, going against, double A guys that are trying to get Manny Machado out. It's just different. There's so much work you can get done on the backfield. A lot of it's great work, but you also have to be in real games and log those at bats against major league pitchers. So he's only got 27. I'm sure he'll be in the lineup probably today, if not today, tomorrow. And, they've got a little time off after they break camp on Monday to get ready for Thursday. So I would think Manny would want to be in there. And, but again, I'm not Manny. But yeah, he got to get off to a start. He can't be hitting 185 for the first 2 months. Totally agree with that. Okay, let's keep him rolling. David, Darvish approaching the cliff. Well, we'll wait and see. I mean, we can't have Darvish miss the first 2 or 3 months of the season. I can tell you that. But again, like I mentioned earlier, there's nobody that takes better care of himself. But you've only got so many bullets in your gun. And you lost. This guy's going into his 19th year of professional baseball. And you could be in the best shape. I mean, he'll look good down in Del Mar in his bathing suit walking up and down the beach. Good looking guy, by the way. But you only have so many throws in your arm. And this guy's had an incredible career. I can't tell you how much respect I have for you, Darvish, and the respect that he has for people and the respect he has for the game of baseball. I want to mention something. I mentioned I watched that Dodger game. And I'm going to get Jay Paris on. I don't know if Jay's back yet. I know he had the book signing, that Otani book he wrote several years ago, and he was all over Japan. He was sending me pictures. But I want to get him on. I've got so much respect for Asian ball players because over in Japan, they work your tail off. And if you sign a contract over there and you're not performing, they do one or two things. They either send you down to their minor leagues or they release you. They expect you to come in and play good baseball and to follow the rules. And they're a lot like the way we played baseball, 30 and 40 years ago. They're fundamentally sound. They work hard on just fielding ground balls the right way, working cutoffs and relays. I remember going to 1984 to the Olympic Games at Dodger Stadium. My buddy Chris Gwynn was playing for the United States. And I didn't go because I didn't even know Chris at that time. But I remember watching them take infield, outfield. It was like something I'd never seen before. They're hitting balls in the gap. They're banging balls off the wall. They're working on double cuts and relays in pregame, where now we don't even take infield practice because guys do all this early work. Infield practice years ago used to be you wanted to show off your arm, you wanted to show off your flair, and we don't see that as fans anymore, which is unfortunate. And they've got, you got all the marking, you got 8 guys throwing out the first pitch, and you got to present this check to that guy. So, it comes down, corporate America is taking over the game. But watching the Japanese player, that's why they're coming over and having success because they're very self disciplined, they're extremely well focused, and they're fundamentally sound. And we're going to continue to see more and more Japanese players and Korean players, for that matter, to come over here because they just don't play travel ball. They practice. Gino Auriemma, the great basketball coach of the UConn women, he made a great statement earlier this year. And I don't know if you saw it. It was making its rounds on X. He goes, in the United States, they practice 1 day a week and they play 6 games. In Europe, they practice 6 days a week and play 1 game. And think about all the great players that are coming from Europe that are taking over the NBA now. And 2 of the best are Doncic and Jokic, and I'm just scraping the surface on that. But a lot of these other countries, they get back down to the fundamentals, where we're just into playing, and we play on our ability, not on skill level. And kids don't watch as much baseball, and they don't know situations as well. I mean, the way the game is being taught or not being taught is a real problem, I think. A real problem. So, anyways, that's what I got for you. Okay. Can both Gurriel and Sheets make the opening day roster? I don't know. The problem with Gurriel, he got to be the DH, and he could be. He could be the right-handed DH. He can play first base. And Sheets is on the team. I mean, Sheets probably ends up being, if you let Jason Hayward go, then Sheets ends up being that left fielder. The problem you have is if you got a tough left-handed pitcher like Chris Sale, do you want Sheets in the lineup? Does he give you a chance? And, what are you going to do out there in left field? Who's going to be your DH against right-hander? Are you going to let Gurriel be the DH against right-handers and put Sheets out there in left field? You could do that. I don't know. It'll be interesting. I know A.J. Preller will probably side with the veterans, but Gurriel and Jason Hayward both can't make this team. I don't think. I mean, you go back and look. I mean, what are you going to do with Tyler Wade? Mike Schultz loves Tyler Wade. That's going to be an interesting conversation. And again, you may go with the way you did it that one year. Remember when they had Matt Carpenter and Nelson Cruz and they tried to make that work for a while? They may side with the veterans, put these other guys down in AAA, and then if these veterans don't get it done over, a month or 6-week period of time, you got to give them enough opportunity to play to where they can do something. Then if they're not doing something, then you cast them adrift and you bring these other guys back up. I don't know. Cut down day is going to be very interesting for me. I'm very excited to see how it goes. And again, I got 11 guys on there, but I got a lot of people telling me that Maldonado is going to make this roster. I can't see it. I just can't see it. Sam, good morning, Coach. If you ask me, Gavin Sheets, Connor Joe, Eggy Rosario, Oscar Gonzalez all deserve a spot on this team before Hayward. Gavin Sheets, a no-brainer. Connor Joe started off slow, has finished fast. Eggy Rosario has not had a good spring aside from his 2 home runs. Oscar Gonzalez, like I said, if he's a left-hand hitter, he makes the roster, but I don't think he makes the roster. Most years, I think he makes the roster. This year, I don't think he makes the roster. The guy, what more could a guy do? Oscar Gonzalez hitting 380 with 7 doubles and 3 RBIs and a 935 OPS. Done a hell of a job. So, Sheets is on. They purchased his contract, added him to the 40-man roster. Connor Joe's good. Aggie goes back to AAA. Oscar Gonzalez probably goes to the minor leagues, or he may even ask for his release. He may ask for his release, and maybe his agent will find him a big league job with another ball club, because they're a bunch of scouts in the stands all the time, and they're watching what Oscar's doing. What's he, 27 years of age? He's still got some good years ahead of him. So there you go. So, okay, of 11 position players who aren't catchers, 6 are locks. Tatis, Merrill, Manny, Bogey, Arise, Crony. Correct. Leave 5 guys among Hayward, Joe, Sheets, Rosario, Ornelas, Gonzalez, Gurriel, Wade, Iglesias. Well, like I said, I've got Connor Joe on my list. I've got Jose Iglesias on the list. In fact, for if you tuned in late, I got Iglesias starting at second base on opening day over Jake Cronenworth. Jake Cronenworth sitting over there until Chris Sale's out of the ball game. I'm not putting him in there against Chris Sale. He has no chance probably, unless he gets sawed off and bangs one over the third baseman's head and holding his handle in his hands as he's running down to first base. I don't see it. But I've got Connor Joe. Sheets is in there without a problem. We know that. Iglesias and maybe Wade. I don't know. They may go with Gurriel. They may go with Gurriel because AJ likes going with veterans. And I'm a big veteran guy. As everybody knows from my radio days, my opening always said, you got to have veterans on the bench. And I think the Padres listened to that. And last year they did a really good job. They had Peralta and they had Donovan Solano, and they've done a good job in that area. It's tough to be a pinch hitter, man. It's really tough to be a pinch hitter. But I appreciate that very much. All right. We got any more? We'll keep them rolling here. But that's what I got for you today, folks. Monday, we're going to be getting a little more dialed in. We're going to have a big weekend. We got a lot of basketball, but, aside from the Lady Aztecs playing tomorrow against Kim Mulkey and LSU, where ESPN's giving them a 1.2% chance to win, probably not going to talk basketball anymore on the program until next basketball season. It's going to be pretty much all Padres, Angels. We'll talk Dodgers occasionally. Keep everybody in Southern California informed what the hell's going on out there. So Padres, again, they play today. Michael King making his final start. Again, please subscribe. Please like. Please send comments. Agree or disagree with me on the 11 guys that I have on my roster. I hope everyone has a great weekend. I'm going to spend a lot of time out at ballparks this weekend. So I'll come in Monday all fired up. Enjoy the weekend. Talk to you again Monday morning at 10 a.m. Bye-bye.